in Colombia, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. My name is Andres. I was born here in Cali, a city shaped by Afro-descendant story. Identifying as an Afro-Colombian, I really identify as a Afro-Colombian means recognizing resilience, memory, struggle. Cali did a really creativity city. We had a creative, sorry, city, and we have in our past races and invisibility. But Cali, sorry, to being a Afro person is to be a really we have the really a really intelligent people first, joyful people in our city, and identity. Yes, we have this liberty time in our land, but to be a caleños, to being a caleños is being to be a joyful people. We have a really joyful people here in our city. How? Because people call my city the world capital for salsa. First of all, the really good contribution for our past is our music. For example,
Mm-mm.
that is very powerful in our city.
Yes, I remember. So, what inspired you to start being a tour guide, and particularly the Afro-Colombian tour you put together? So, what made you want to do that? Because that was one of the two tours I did together. So, food is really
Yes, yeah, that is a powerful question, and I appreciate your questions. It's because in my job, working as a tourist guide, I did the different historical and cultural tours. Every time, not only me, I mean my colleagues, every time they talk to you about the why story.
mm,
Yes, if you're walking in the streets, Ebony and Cali, you're gonna see a lot of wine monuments. In this
mhm,
case, because we have the slavery time, you're gonna see every time representation by Spanish conquerors, churches, monuments, the architecture is
mm,
stands out here. Yes, that's why every time. That's why in the past I thought, hey, what about if I created the legal story about my ancestors? Because Cali is a really black. It's the blackest city in Colombia. Hey, what about Cali? We don't have boys here. Yes, Cali exists right now, through the black people. I mean Africans.
mhm.
If you delete it, or if you delete, salsa, gastronomy in Cali, or Cali is not exist.
Yeah.
Black people in Cali, Santiago de Cali, sorry, is due to the first black people who they came over here at the 16th century.
Mm,
Yes, salsa exists. Salsa is our backbone in Cali. Salsa it wasn't exist with black people.
mm.
That's why my decision to. That's why my motivations to create a really good tour with our story, our heritage, our music, our gastronomy, etc., our dance, etc., etc. Because Cali is very, very multicultural city.
Mm. Yeah, could you
That's
talk
my
a little
answer.
Yeah, it's a great answer, and I wanna dig into it a little bit more. So, the first tour I went with you was a food tour. So, tell me
Yeah.
a bit more about what y'all eat in Cali, and then in Cali in general, but also what is, like, Colombian Cali food? What are people eating?
Yeah, we have a lot of contribution of our Afro-descendants people here in Colombia. Afro-descendants, Afro-Colombians. Oh, remember, we had the special word niches. That's
Nietzsche.
mean Afro-descendant of black. Yeah, so Afro-descendant communities have been fundamental to Colombia for the colonial times. Remember, my people built different cities,
Mhm.
sustained, agriculture to protect territories, music, etc. But gastronomy is made of our black because they introduced, for example, fries in our land, coconut,
Mm.
watermelon, plantain, green plantain, sweet plantains. That's why in our Cali, for example, we have a lot of variety in our cuisine and mixes among indigenous, the first people in our land. And by the way, therefore, they were enslaved people here. Next one, colonizer from Spain, and of course, black people. But black people is very representative because Cali is not only Santiago de Cali. We need to understand first my city. Cali is Pacific Ocean. 2 hours and a half, we have Buenaventura, Pacific Ocean, and a lot of people who they got away from the conflict or different haciendas in Spanish or plantations, they settled down at the Pacific. That's why we have, for example, seafood, and we have a lot of influences by black people in Cali. Yes, and we have a lot of mixes.
Cali is a city and it's a state, like, is that what you mean? It's like
Yes,
territory, so it's both. Okay, okay. That makes sense.
It's very important to say, Ebony, that if we need to understand Cali, it's not only to the Black dimension. I mean, Black dimension is very important, but indigenous are included in our land because we coexist together. Yes, we are the only one, but Black people is very representative for indigenous people too. That's why
Yeah,
in Mature I like to speak about indigenous. Yes, and
yeah,
obviously Black people and white people because we need to understand the city. That's what I
yeah,
said. Multicultural as a city and intercultural because everyone there in my city sorry coexist together.
yeah. I love that. So you let's go back to the term Nietzsche, right? So Nietzsche is a term for Afro-descendant, but on your tour we visited what were we under these bells? Can you talk about the group Nietzsche and it was a singer, yes? Wasn't it a
Yes.
group also called Nietzsche that you kind of talk about on the tour?
When I got people from your country, United States, Africa, I like to share my city with different ways. In Cali, if you say if white people they want to say negro, yes, or black, we don't have problem with this that word. It's depending how way you have it. It's the way have you said it. Yes,
Mhm.
it's respect. Yes, and we have Nietzsche. Why? Because we have a lot of rhythms, not only salsa or Afro Latin rhythms. We have hip hop, rap. We have reggae. We like to listen reggae in Cali, not only salsa. Yes, that's it has African roots. And Nietzsche means the really emblematic salsa group. Yes, it was born in Bogota first, but we got the really good roots in Cali at the in the end of the 80s. Nietzsche means Afro salsa group or Afro descendants. That's why if I walk in the street, I can say, hey, Nietzsche, hey, what's up? And in the United States, you say, hey, what's up, maniga? In Cali, we say, what's up, maniche? Hey, Nietzsche, ¿qué pasa? Oh, yeah. Women, the same like you, black, we say morocha. It's a common to say that's cultural. Yes, that word is not offensive or rude or disrespectful, something like that. Who call you, white people call you, hey, morocha, hey, negra, mi negrita, mi amor. But that is
Mm,
cultural. Yes, it depends the way have you said it. Yes, that word. It depends how you pronounce. I mean, white people or different people, morocha or Nietzsche, but it's a very common expression in Cali. We don't have problems. So if white people call me negro, Nietzsche, no problem. Make sense?
mm. Mhm. Yeah, so the Nietzsche, the group was really popular, and I think they won some Grammys too.
Emblematic salsa group in Colombia and around the world because we have the big story about salsa, about Afro Latin rhythms, or Afro descendant or Afro-Colombian. That's the meaning for this word.
Yeah, and so I was really I went back. So remember those big it's like big bells you stand under and you were teaching us a little bit of salsa and some of the Nietzsche group, the lyrics. I also went back and went to the museum, the Nietzsche museum. And so
Have you
it seems
remembered the
like
big monument? Have you
yeah, yeah,
remembered the big monument from bombs and trumpets?
yes.
I don't know if you know about the monument. Into this monument, we had the really good word Nietzsche. Nietzsche. The phrase is including this and this monument is a really good recognition that we have in Cali
So
about our culture.
could you talk a little bit more about the monument?
About that,
Yeah, the monument there.
yes, of course. I mean, I like to say when I got people there, hey, have you seen the monument that speaks? And people, excuse me, yes, the monument that speaks. What is that? Then I say, oh, in Cali we have the really big monument. By it's a really good recognition by Africans here, and of course the really good emblematic salsa group. And we got music all day long, 20 hours per day, 7 days a week. That's why I say that it speaks because in Cali, joyful city, we like to dance salsa because we have a lot of rhythms here, black rhythms. That's why we have salsa in under the trumpets because and this monument is made up of those two forms, trombones and trumpets. We got music every time. Yes, it was built in 2013. This monument in honor of this emblematic salsa band, El Grupo Nietzsche, and of course, in our heritage, African heritage.
Yeah, really cool. So, tell me about how long you've been doing the Afro I'm not sure what you call it, the Afro-Colombian tour to Los Mongos. Tell me about the tour, why you started to do it, and what are some of the places you take people on the tour?
How long?
Mhm.
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 years. I'm working as a tourist guide. I created this tour. Remember, my motivation is because we don't have the Black stories or the Black recognition at the tours here in Cali. So important because to share people my city first and the different contribution that we got when we got, I don't want to say slavers. Every time I like to do, the difference between enslaved people and enslavers. Why? Because when I say enslaved, we're talking about people when 1,000 years ago they left in Africa. They were free, not
Mhm,
slavers. Yes,
mhm.
in slavery, of course, we had a really big system, etc., etc., etc. But I prefer not only to focus on in pain and punishment. Yeah, this is our story, but I prefer to focus on contribution. I said before, contribution by my people. It's very it's intelligence. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
contributions and different ways in Cali because Cali is very mixed. Yes, Cali is very. We have a lot of variety in Cali. Yes.
So Los Mangos is the neighborhood that you took me to, right, on the tour. Why Los Mangos, and why did you decide to do the tour there?
Thank you. Yes, good question. It's because every time I do the Afro tour a town and around. Yes, that time I decided to show you something different in our city because Black people in Cali they settled down at the east of the city, and by the way, in Cali we have two boulevards. Yes, every time people knows about the main one, but we have two in the east of the city, in the east of the city. Yeah, and of course, Cali is divided into 22 communes, and every commune is made up of different neighborhoods. That's what I decided. No, what about if I show you something different, another part of the city? Yes.
Mm,
And of course, in that part, at the Los Mangos neighborhood, Marroquin neighborhood, we have a lot of Black concentration of Ma people, people specifically from the Pacific Ocean. That's what I said at the beginning of this interview. Cali is not only Santiago de Cali, Cali is Pacific Ocean, Buenaventura, because we have a lot of migration from there.
mm.
Yes, for different reasons. That's why in Cali, Cali, in our city, we have a lot of Black population because we have a lot of migration 15 years ago from Buenaventura, the main port in Colombia and the Pacific, regions. And
Wow.
Pacific regions, Cauca Department, Coco Department, Nariño Department. It's because uh, we located at the southwest of the country. Colombia is divided into 32 departments. With
Mm,
states, you say in English, states and United States. And Valle del Cauca department or Cauca Valley is close by Nariño department, Cauca department, Chocó department, another one, very Black. We have a lot of Black population right there.
Choco. Yeah, I have a
Migration,
friend
we
who.
got a lot of migration, and that's why Cali is a really Blackest city in Colombia. Make sense?
Yes, 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 that makes sense. I remember all of the murals there. They were really, really beautiful in Los Mangos, and some of the thing that I got from Cali and from other places I've been to in Colombia is how you embrace your Afro descendant heritage. Because in Cartagena, even in Medellin and in Cali, like I think most of the murals I saw are of Black people. The murals on the wall, and they're very, very beautiful and big and vibrant. And it seems to me that the murals say we are celebrating this part of ourselves and we want you to see it and celebrate it too. So that is
About
one thing that
Cartagena.
Yeah, I've been to Cartagena too.
So hard, right?
Yeah, it was so hot. I think I had to take 2 or 3 showers a day because
Oh, yeah.
I was completely drenched.
It's not hotter. And Cartagena is very interesting city because from there we have the main enslaved port with Black history in Colombia. Yes, a lot of thousands, Africans, they came over here from there. Yes, from Cartagena, Indias. In Cartagena, we have Santa Marta, Barranquilla, La Guajira in the north. La Guajira, for example, Santa Marta, we have a lot of slavery people, enslaved people, but illegally. Cartagena
Mhm.
was the main port, but legally, it was authorized by the Spanish crown. Yes, that's why we have, the registration of the date, the information is, the official date is 500,000 enslaved people from
Mm.
Cartagena, but illegally through the rivers, La Guajira Department, Santa Marta, we got a lot of people there. We don't have the really information exactly, but the registration is about 5,100. in Colombia.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, so I went to Cartagena first a couple years ago, and then I went to Palenque. So that was really cool because
San Basilio de
yeah,
Palenque.
yeah, in the
Tell me
US,
about your experience.
yeah, yeah. So I went to like that was 4 years ago, and that's actually the reason why I came back. I was so impressed with, just the embrace of through murals, through culture, through Palenque, that they were embracing their Afro heritage like no other place that I think I've been to in South America, at least, not that I've been everywhere. So I was really impressed about that. And then Palenque, I don't think I've ever been to another. I'm sure they exist, like, what we call them maroon colonies. So in the US, maroon colonies are places where escaped Africans went and they set up their own towns and villages, and most of those in the US don't exist anymore, right? And so I really appreciate being able to go to a place that has been in existence since the 1600s. It was the first like town of enslaved African in all of the Americas. So, and it's still there, and you can visit it. So I was really impressed by that, and that's the reason why I came back. Last two questions for you. So, what do you love about being Afro-Colombian? Like, so give me some food you love, a particular aspect of culture, city, neighborhood. Like, what do you want to, maybe two or three things that you really love and want to celebrate?
For me, I was born black. I mean, Afro-descendants. It's not the accidents. And we have the really good culture, the really powerful culture in different ways. In Cali, we celebrate that culture with music and dancing. Yes, I love it, to be black first and to celebrate, being black, like, for example, dancing in different ways. Salsa, hip hop, rap. I love to listen. I love listening to hip hop, rap. I love to dance bachata, bachata, whatever, different rhythms. I love it. Yes. I think salsa, it wasn't born, in Cali, but they got into in our blood. Yes.
Mm,
And every time we express ourselves, that is African because African, they celebrate it's like their life with music and dancing. And of course, Cali is the same. African, they have a really good, gastronomy. I love fries. For example, in Cali, we like to eat aborrajados. It's a common to eat aborrajados. What is aborrajados? Yellow plantain, sweet plantain with cheese inside. It's fried.
mhm,
Man, this is a really, food coma. I love it. I love to eat. I don't know you, everybody does. Aborrajados. What about marranitas? Plantain with, you say pork rind in English or crackling? I mean,
mhm, yeah, yeah.
chicharron inside is fried. They're really good combination on your mouth. That blew your mind. I mean, that's why I love my city and I love to be black. And that's what I say in different ways. In gastronomy, I love dancing. I love my music, our music, sorry. I love street art in my city. For example, if you're walking in the street, you're going to see there are really big murals, black murals. Why? Because in the past, we don't have visibility. But now we have memory on the walls. Yes?
Mhm.
We don't have black monuments. We don't have indigenous monuments in our land, but we had the really street art, the really big street art, and on the one you're gonna see a lot of our black heritage, in different colors, in different ways. I mean, it's very interesting. Cali is the alive city.
Yeah.
Cali está viva. Cali está viva. You know what I mean? Cali está viva.
Something about living in Cali, living the life. So we've talked about the joy. What is it like, being Afro descendant in Colombia, right? So in the US, it's kind of like a mixed bag because you have Black culture here and there's hip hop, soul food, there's so much good, but it's also sometimes challenging because the larger world in the US and the government also does not necessarily treat Black people fairly all the time. Is it similar in Colombia, or what is it like there?
I mean, our the big struggle, not only here, I think not only here in Cali is the opportunities. You say
Mhm,
struggle, I prefer to say opportunities is to be more, the people understand first my our culture. People understand first our city, our black heritage. Yes? How? For example, in my case, I'm a tourist guide. That's why I created my tours. and people understand Cali first. Not only consume culture. It's not
Mhm.
only to be in Cali and to dance salsa. It's a good. No, to understand difference. Our Black heritage, our story, our gastronomy, etc. And it's because in our city, yes, of course, we have discrimination, racism. That's happened. Still happen in Cali, of course, and everywhere and everywhere. Not only like this, in front of you. I think that's happening is under the table this
Mm.
time. But we have, and our struggle, our opportunity is to be to getting better, to be through the time to getting better every time to the people understand my culture and to improve our, for example, our education. That is a really powerful. Yes. First of all, children, they need to understand first where they are, who they are. Yes. But I'm not talking about of our color or our skin. It's our story,
Mhm.
and don't repeat, that story. I think is knowledge is light and it's about of ignorance.
Mm.
If you have education on your mind, if you have the really good education on your mind, you're gonna be different. You're going to understand others, including who they are really different than you are. That's my point. Education from children. That's it.
Wonderful.
It's not only, I mean, the conversation is not only to talk about slavery. Yeah, we need to understand our story, but it's not to repeat the same every time. And slavery, pain, blah 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 blah. No, we need to going out. We need to improve our mind, and inside we need education.
I love that. So, last two questions. One is, these are probably gonna be folks, Black people listening to this. But most of the people listening to this may be Black Americans. What, in closing, do you want them to know about Cali? And second part of that is, where can they find you? So if they visit Cali, where can they find you so they can go on one of your lovely tours? I think I went on two of them. So what do you want them to know? And how can they find you?
Date un borondo in English is the same to say, hey, let's take stroll. Yeah, that's the name for my branch. Yes. So people can understand Cali, with the local guy because I'm Caleño. I was born in Cali, and people understand, how the cultures improves Cali with different ways:
Mm.
music, dancing, street art, gastronomy, etc., etc. I have more information. And Instagram, Datum Borondo, and Facebook, Datum Borondo, TikTok, Datum Borondo.
Datu Barondo.
It isn't to say let's take this stroll. Let's take a stroll. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. Let's
There
go.
you
Let's
go.
let's go on a walk. Let's go on a walk.
I'm going to ask you a question. So, what does it mean to be a black woman there in the United States?
Black person? Oh, that's yeah.
A black woman in the United States.
United States. It's probably as complicated as it is in Cali or in Colombia. So I think it's both then. Like, you're part of a rich culture, that has shaped music and history and culture in the US. When you look at hip hop, you look at jazz, you look at R&B, music and culture and activist luminaries to look up to. So I think that despite all that this country has really undermined our success, we have thrived. So that's like such a proud heritage to be a part of. But also, as a woman, you have to fight both racism and sexism. So in the US, because of lots of things that going on in the government, 600,000 Black women have lost their jobs this year, in the past year. 600,000. That is more jobs than any other group of people. And so I think that sometimes because of our culture, it becomes challenging just to be yourself, right? Because in the workplace, you're a woman and you may not be taken seriously. And then you're a Black woman. And so people may have a dual discrimination against you that may cause some particular barriers. I also feel like there's a wonderful sisterhood of other Black women that are there, and men too, that are there to support one another and have a rich community. So I would say it's a mixed bag, right? Because there is such a rich history of joy and resilience in art making, in culture and food, same as there, and dancing. But then there's also this rich history of enslavement and oppression and disrupting lives and lack of opportunity. And so I try to hold both of those things together. And part of the reason why I did this podcast was so that we don't get stuck in the story of oppression and lack and struggle. We don't deny that, but we have the opportunity to say, well, Black people are also dancing and singing and having fun and opening businesses and creating art and creating opportunities for themselves all over the world. And so my goal is to really highlight that not only with this podcast, but in a documentary a series I'm putting together where I go to different Black places around the world and eat and drink and learn about the history and take tours and learn about the culture. So I think that there's a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. And so wanting to highlight that and highlight people that have that perspective so we're like cousins, right? Like coming from the same root, but just different part of the family. This is my goal is to reconnect to that particular family. So thank you for coming on and telling your story. Anything else you want to say before we close, or you want people to know
Oh,
about?
I was watching you, on YouTube. I got different interviewers, women's, yeah,
Hmm.
Black women's, most of it. Very interesting. I love it. I love your job. I like it. Oh, wow. I was really surprised of your job. And thank you for your invitation. I think what still need to change is structural racism, lack of representation, and unequal access to the education and resources. Recognition must move from words to real actions. Yeah.
Mm,
But
yeah,
first is our action from others. I think we need to be different every time. We need to
yeah,
recognize our story, but we need to go in, we need to going up and transform the reality. I
yeah.
don't know. That's my point. It depends, for example, you get it. Now with your interviews, in my job, I'm working as a tourist guide. Our job is very important. It's very
Hmm.
important.
Yeah, I think we
Yes.
make connections for people that they wouldn't, or like just going on a tour. And most of yours were like maybe 2 hours, maybe 4 hours, but you get immersed in that's what when I travel, the first thing I do is take a free walking tour, take a walking tour because I want to understand the history and culture and food of the place because that is the place. And I want to understand it from somebody who lives there. So thank you for all you do and taking the time to chat. So
Hey,
that's
what about Petrone Alvarez Fest? Isn't this? I mean, we celebrate that fest, the really Black Fest in August. Would you like to try again, Colombia, Cali?
what is that in Cali?
Oh, if you want, and I can share, information about it. You don't miss, this festival. We had drinks, we had food, we had dancing, we have music, we have a lot of people from everywhere. 1,000 people in August. They come here in Cali from everywhere. African, from Brazil, from United States. I don't know if you heard about it.
What is it called?
El Festival Petronio Álvarez or the Petronio Álvarez Fest. I'm gonna share, on YouTube information. You don't miss this festival. It's a really Black festival in Cali, Colombia. It's a very important festival every August.
Okay, August. I'll put it on my calendar. Great.
August.
All
Thank
right.
you.